Handle it, Roy. Handle it.
What do you mean? That can't be a waxy yellow Vilda.
It's a chimp who can select top-rated TV shows.
Worst 1970s TV sitcoms you forgot existed. The 1970s created some of TV's greatest hits, and some disasters so embarrassing that networks pretended they never happened. You've wondered why certain shows from your childhood just vanished without explanation. You'll find out about the weird soap opera show that made families watching at dinner time confused about whether to laugh or worry, the beloved family show that got turned into a singing and dancing disaster so bad that the original actors looked like prisoners, and the college comedy show so awful that CBS canceled it after one single episode before viewers could even complain. But first, let me take you back to 1976, when TV bosses watched a broken robot cop destroy important clues on television, and somehow thought this was exactly what America wanted to see.
Weighs 427 pounds. He's a completely mobile computer, specially programmed for police work.
Number 25. Holmes and Yo-Yo, 1976. ABC looked at the popularity of buddy cop shows and decided theirs needed a robot partner. They created a series about a human detective working with a malfunctioning android who pretended to be his regular partner.
Now down!
Holmes and Yo-Yo followed Detective Holmes working with Yo-Yo, a robot designed to be the perfect police officer. But Yo-Yo's computer brain constantly malfunctioned.
Here when you get a chance. Thanks, Alex. I enjoyed it very much.
Causing problems during every single investigation. The robot partner would spark and smoke at the worst possible moments. His mechanical voice would get stuck repeating the same phrases. His super strength would accidentally destroy evidence and break furniture. ABC wanted to combine science fiction with police comedy.
I'm sorry, Alex. I like you.
During the height of robot popularity. But the special effects looked cheap and fake even by 70s standards.
Look, I've been married 5 times.
Nothing about Yo-Yo seemed remotely believable. Every episode followed the exact same pattern. They would get a case. Yo-Yo would malfunction and nearly expose his identity. Holmes would cover for him while solving the crime anyway. The show lasted 26 episodes before getting canceled. Critics called it juvenile and poorly made. Holmes and Yo-Yo proved that mixing genres doesn't automatically create good television.
Ted Bessel competes with the rambunctious ape in a riotous new comedy, Me and the Chimp, coming 1 week from...
Number 24. Me and the Chimp, 1972. CBS executives looked at successful family comedies and decided they needed one with a chimpanzee as the main character. They created a show about a family adopting a circus chimp who caused chaos in suburban life. Me and the Chimp starred Ted Bessel as a dentist whose family adopts a trained chimpanzee named Buttons. Every episode was the chimp destroying the house, while the family tried to keep it secret from neighbors. The show tried to combine physical comedy with family warmth, but watching a monkey wreck furniture for 30 minutes got old really fast.
How come we never heard of him?
Because they don't play basketball in China. Could never get on a team.
The novelty wore off after about 5 minutes per episode. CBS hoped animal comedy would appeal to children and families looking for innocent entertainment. Instead, they got repetitive slapstick that insulted everyone's intelligence. Even kids got bored with the monkey tricks. Ted Bessel was a decent actor who deserved better than being upstaged by a chimpanzee every single week. His character existed only to clean up messes and apologize for the animal's behavior. The show lasted 26 episodes before getting quietly canceled. Critics called it mindless and repetitive. Me and the Chimp showed that cute animals can't carry entire television series. Number 23. Flatbush, 1979. CBS executives watched Welcome Back, Coder, and decided Brooklyn needed another sitcom. They created something much worse. Much, much worse. Flatbush followed 5 guys from Brooklyn trying to make it in the real world. They worked dead-end jobs and lived with their parents. Every episode was them failing at something new. The characters were supposed to be lovable losers. Instead, they came across as just plain losers. They whined about everything and never learned from their mistakes. CBS wanted to capture the working-class Brooklyn vibe that made other shows successful. But these characters had no charm or heart. They were just annoying stereotypes with thick accents. The writing was lazy, and the jokes were mean. Characters insulted each other instead of being funny. Every punchline felt like bullying. The show got canceled after just 8 episodes. Critics called it offensive to Italian Americans. Flatbush proved that you can't just throw some accents together and call it comedy. Number 22. Operation Petticoat, 1977 to 1978. Someone at ABC watched the 1959 Cary Grant movie and thought it needed to be a weekly TV show.
How are we going to fit him on the boat, sir?
We may not have to.
They thought wrong. Nobody asked for this. Operation Petticoat was about a pink submarine during World War II with female Navy nurses on board. The captain tried to keep order while dealing with romantic chaos every week. The movie worked because Cary Grant was charming, and it was only 2 hours long.
Lieutenant Crandall.
The TV version stretched thin jokes over entire seasons. Pink submarine jokes get old fast.
Oh, Captain, I would like to...
I would like to also, but later.
ABC hoped to capture the movie's magic with a weekly format. Instead, they got tired submarine puns and boring romance plots. The cast had no chemistry. Every episode followed the same pattern. Someone falls in love, the submarine breaks down, everything gets fixed by the end. The show lasted 2 seasons but felt like 20. Critics said it was stale from episode 1. Viewers stopped caring quickly. Operation Petticoat showed that some movies should stay movies. Weekly TV requires more than one good idea. Number 21. Carter Country, 1977 to 1979. ABC looked at the success of Southern comedy and decided they needed their own version. They created a police show set in rural Georgia. It was The Dukes of Hazzard meets Barney Miller, but worse than both. Carter Country followed a big city black police chief working in a small southern town. He dealt with racist locals and bumbling deputies every single episode. The show tried to tackle serious topics like racism through comedy, but the writing was clumsy and the jokes often made things worse. Characters were walking stereotypes instead of real people. ABC wanted to mix social commentary with laughs like All in the Family did. Instead, they got awkward situations that weren't funny or meaningful. The racial humor felt outdated even in 1977. Victor French played the racist deputy who slowly learned tolerance, but his character development moved slower than molasses. Most episodes ended exactly where they started. The show ran for 2 seasons and 44 episodes. Critics called it well-meaning but poorly executed. Viewers found it uncomfortable rather than entertaining. Carter Country proved that good intentions don't automatically make good television.
Down to that big linen.
Number 20. A.E.S. Hudson Street, 1978. ABC executives watched medical dramas and thought they needed a comedy version set in a hospital emergency room. They were about 20 years too early. Nobody was ready for this. A.E.S. Hudson Street followed doctors and nurses at a busy city hospital. They dealt with crazy patients and medical emergencies while trying to be funny about serious injuries. The show starred Gregory Sierra from Barney Miller. He played a Puerto Rican doctor trying to keep everyone calm. But the writing made hospital trauma seem like a joke. ABC wanted to create MASH in a modern setting. Instead, they got uncomfortable comedy about real medical problems. Heart attacks and broken bones aren't naturally hilarious. Every episode mixed actual emergencies with slapstick humor. Patients would collapse while doctors cracked jokes. The tone was all over the place and nothing felt right. The show lasted only 6 episodes before getting canceled. Critics said it was tasteless and insensitive. A.E.S. Hudson Street showed that some jobs are too serious for sitcom treatment.
Have you ever spent any time with a mass murderer?
Very often.
Number 19. Mary Hartman, 1976 to 1977. Norman Lear created a soap opera parody that was supposed to air late at night. Instead, many stations put it on during dinner time. Families were not prepared for this weirdness. Mary Hartman followed a housewife dealing with bizarre small-town problems. Mass murders happened next to discussions about waxy yellow buildup on kitchen floors. The show mixed serious topics like death and divorce with silly soap opera drama. Mary worried about her husband's impotence while neighbors got electrocuted in bathtubs. Everything was equally important to her. Lear wanted to make fun of daytime TV while commenting on American life. But the humor was too strange for most viewers. People didn't know when to laugh or feel sad. Louise Lasser played Mary with nervous energy and vacant stares. She made the character seem mentally unstable rather than funny. Every scene felt like she might have a breakdown. The show ran for 325 episodes but felt like an experiment gone wrong. Critics called it brilliant or terrible with nothing in between. Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman proved that being too clever can backfire.
Mr. Callahan?
We don't go any place too dangerous out there.
Number 18. Dusty's Trail, 1973. Someone looked at Gilligan's Island and thought it needed to be a Western instead. They replaced the island with the desert and the boat with a wagon train. The stupidity remained exactly the same. Dusty's Trail followed a wagon train that got lost heading to California. The guide was an idiot named Dusty, who couldn't read maps or follow trails. Bob Denver played Dusty exactly like Gilligan, but with a cowboy hat. Same confused expressions. Same ability to mess up simple tasks. Same annoying laugh track after every mistake. The show creators wanted to copy Gilligan's Island's success in a different setting, but they forgot that good comedy needs more than just changing costumes and locations. Every episode was Dusty ruining the group's chances to get back on track. Someone would make a plan. Dusty would wreck it. Everyone would be stuck for another week. The show lasted 26 episodes and disappeared forever. Critics called it a lazy copy of a show that wasn't that great to begin with. Dusty's Trail showed that you can't just move successful characters to new places and expect magic.
I'm Chief Petty Officer Sharkey of the United States.
Number 17. C.P.O. Sharkey, 1976 to 1978. Don Rickles was famous for insulting people in nightclubs, and someone thought this would work great as a family sitcom. They were completely wrong. Very, very wrong. C.P.O. Sharkey starred Rickles as a Navy drill instructor who yelled at young sailors every single episode. He called them names and made them do push-ups while the audience was supposed to laugh.
I dug the Navy the first time I put on that sailor suit. Midi blouse, bell-bottom trousers.
The show tried to make military training look funny, but watching grown men get screamed at by an angry sergeant isn't really comedy. It's just uncomfortable and mean. NBC hoped Rickles' insult comedy would translate to weekly television. Instead, his constant yelling got old after 5 minutes. Every episode was exactly the same angry routine. The young actors playing sailors had no personality beyond being targets for Rickles' abuse. They existed only to get insulted and look confused. Nobody learned anything or grew as characters. The show ran for 2 seasons but felt like boot camp punishment. Critics said it was one-note and repetitive. C.P.O. Sharkey proved that nightclub acts don't always work as TV shows.
Big John has a problem.
Number 16. Big John, Little John, 1976. NBC looked at the success of family comedies and decided they needed one with a magical twist. They created a show about a middle school teacher who randomly turned into a 12-year-old kid. Yes, this actually happened. Big John, Little John, starred Herb Edelman as a teacher who drank from a Florida fountain of youth. Now he would suddenly shrink into a 6th grader during the worst possible moments. The transformation happened without warning or control. Big John would be teaching class and suddenly become Little John in oversized clothes. His students never seemed to notice their teacher vanishing.
One more thing.
What?
Warmest congratulations.
NBC wanted to combine adult problems with kid perspectives. Instead, they got confusing plots about a grown man trapped in a child's body attending his own school. Every episode was the same pattern. John would start to shrink at the wrong time. He'd hide until he grew back to normal size. Nobody ever figured out what was happening. The show lasted 1 season and 13 episodes.
I am John Martin, your husband.
Critics called it bizarre and pointless. Kids were confused, and adults found it creepy. Big John, Little John showed that some magic tricks work better as cartoons.
Slapstick. Does this film have something insightful to say about...
Number 15. The Barefoot Executive, 1971. Disney took their 1971 movie about a chimpanzee who could predict TV ratings and turned it into a sitcom. The movie was silly but short. The TV show was silly and endless. The Barefoot Executive followed a young man working at a TV network whose pet chimp could somehow pick hit shows. The monkey would point at scripts and magically know which ones would be successful. The human characters spent every episode trying to understand how a chimpanzee knew more about television than actual executives. Meanwhile, the chimp just ate bananas and pointed at things randomly. Disney hoped to capture the movie's family-friendly magic in weekly episodes. But watching people take advice from a monkey gets old really fast. The premise had maybe 10 minutes of comedy material. The show tried to make fun of TV executives while being a TV show made by TV executives. The irony was lost on everyone, including the writers. Every joke fell flat. It lasted only one season before getting quietly canceled. Critics said it insulted both chimps and humans equally. The Barefoot Executive proved that cute movie concepts don't always stretch into full TV series.
I have to take a cab back from secretarial school tonight.
Number 14. The Paul Lynde Show, 1972 to 1973. NBC executives watched Paul Lynde steal scenes on Hollywood squares and decided he needed his own family sitcom. They forgot that being funny in small doses is very different from carrying an entire show. The Paul Lynde Show cast the sarcastic comedian as a lawyer and family man dealing with typical suburban problems. But Lynde's bitter wit didn't match with wholesome family situations at all. Lynde was naturally sarcastic and sharp-tongued from years of stand-up comedy. The show tried to make him warm and caring as a TV dad. It felt completely fake and uncomfortable. NBC wanted to capture Lynde's quick humor in a weekly format, but his comedy worked best as one-liners and quick responses. Full episodes couldn't support his limited range. The writing gave him typical sitcom dad problems like teenage daughters and mortgage payments. But Lynde delivered every line like he was annoyed to be there. His characters seemed to hate his own family. The show lasted 26 episodes and disappeared quickly. Critics said Lynde was miscast as a leading man. The Paul Lynde Show showed that supporting players don't always make good stars.
And it keeps on getting rougher.
Number 13. Lotsa Luck, 1973 to 1974. NBC took a successful British sitcom called On the Buses and decided to make an American version. They changed buses to garbage trucks and moved everything to New York. The result was still garbage. Lotsa Luck starred Dom DeLuise as a bus driver living with his mother, sister, and unemployed brother-in-law. Every episode was him dealing with his crazy family while trying to do his job. DeLuise was naturally funny and energetic in movies and variety shows, but the sitcom format made him seem frantic and desperate instead of charming. He tried too hard to make every moment hilarious. NBC hoped DeLuise's popularity would translate into weekly rating success. Instead, his over-the-top acting made simple family situations feel like emergencies. Every conversation became shouting and panic. The supporting cast played stereotypical New York characters who existed only to create problems. His mother nagged constantly. His brother-in-law was completely useless. Nobody was actually likable. The show ran for 24 episodes before getting canceled. Critics said it was loud, without being funny. Lotsa Luck proved that copying successful foreign shows doesn't guarantee American success.
Your room to use yours. I thought it gone bad.
It was 90%.
Number 12. The Texas Wheelers, 1974 to 1975. ABC looked at the success of rural family dramas and decided they needed their own version set in Texas. They created a show about a widowed father raising 4 kids in poverty. It wasn't as heartwarming as they hoped. The Texas Wheelers followed Zach Wheeler, trying to keep his family together after his wife died. They lived in a rundown house and struggled to pay basic bills every single episode. The show starred Jack Elam as the father and a young Gary Busey as the oldest son. Both actors tried to balance comedy with serious family drama. Neither tone worked very well. ABC wanted to create their own The Waltons, but with more humor and Texas flavor. Instead, they got depressing stories about real poverty that weren't funny or uplifting. Every episode dealt with serious problems like unpaid rent and hungry children. The writers tried to add jokes, but laughing at poor people's struggles felt wrong. Nothing was actually funny about their situation. The show lasted 26 episodes before getting quietly canceled. Critics called it confused and uncomfortable. The Texas Wheelers showed that some subjects are too serious for sitcom treatment.
My name is Rhoda Morgenstern. I was born in the Bronx, New York, in December 1941.
Number 11. Rhoda, 1974 to 1978. The Mary Tyler Moore Show was so successful that CBS decided Rhoda Morgenstern needed her own spin-off series. The character worked perfectly as Mary's best friend, but struggled to carry an entire show alone. Rhoda moved the character from Minneapolis back to New York, where she got married.
Happened to get up early on a Saturday morning and our door is closed. Don't come in.
And started her own life. But the writers couldn't figure out what to do with her after the wedding episode. Valerie Harper was brilliant as the supporting character on Mary Tyler Moore. She provided sarcastic comments and relationship advice, while Mary dealt with the main plots. Being the star was completely different and much harder. CBS expected the spin-off to match the original show's success automatically. But Rhoda's personality worked better in small doses as comic relief.
So this is the laundry room.
Yeah, welcome to Lynde City.
Full episodes of her neurotic behavior became exhausting instead of funny. The show won awards and had decent ratings but never found its own identity. Every episode felt like a pale copy of Mary Tyler Moore, without Mary's charm to balance everything out. Rhoda ran for 5 seasons but always felt unnecessary. Critics praised Harper's performance while questioning why the show existed. The series proved that great supporting characters don't always make great leading characters.
Papa, and don't start on me again, will you?
You look just like me and you know it.
I look like a lot of people, honey.
Number 10. Paper Moon, 1974. ABC took the Oscar-winning movie, starring Ryan and Tatum O'Neal, and turned it into a weekly sitcom. They replaced the movie stars with unknown actors and stretched a 2-hour story into an entire television season. Paper Moon followed a con man and his maybe daughter traveling across Depression-era America, pulling small-time scams. The movie worked because of great acting and beautiful cinematography that TV couldn't match. The TV version had none of the movie's charm or visual style. Every episode was the same pattern of arriving in a new town, running a con, and leaving before getting caught. ABC hoped to capture the movie's critical acclaim and box office success. But the story worked as a film because it had a clear beginning, middle, and end. Weekly TV just repeated the same situations endlessly. The young actress playing the daughter tried to copy Tatum O'Neal's performance but came across as annoying instead of precocious. The chemistry between the leads was completely missing. The show lasted 20 episodes before getting canceled. Critics said it was a poor copy of superior source material. Paper Moon showed that successful movies don't automatically become successful TV shows.
The San Pedro Beach Bums.
B-U-M!
Number 9. The San Pedro Beach Bums, 1977. ABC executives watched Welcome Back, Kotter, and decided they needed their own show about lovable losers. They created a series about 5 guys living in a houseboat and doing absolutely nothing productive with their lives. The San Pedro Beach Bums followed 5 friends who spent every day hanging around the beach avoiding real jobs. They lived on a broken-down boat and survived by doing odd jobs and small scams. The characters were supposed to be charming slackers living the California dream. Instead, they came across as lazy grown men who refused to take responsibility for anything. Their lifestyle looked more pathetic than enviable. ABC hoped to capture the laid-back California vibe that was popular in the late 70s. But watching unemployed guys waste time every week got boring really fast. Nothing interesting ever happened to them. Each episode followed the same pattern. Someone would offer them real work. They would find excuses to avoid it. Everything would return to normal by the end with no lessons learned. The show lasted 26 episodes before getting canceled. Critics called it pointless and repetitive. The San Pedro Beach Bums proved that doing nothing isn't interesting enough for television.
Welcome!
Number 8. Hee Haw Honeys, 1978 to 1979. Someone looked at the success of Hee Haw and decided it needed a spin-off focused entirely on the pretty girls who danced in the background. They forgot that those women worked better as decoration than main characters. Hee Haw Honeys followed 6 attractive women working at a truck stop diner in rural Tennessee. Every episode was about their romantic problems and dreams of escaping small-town life for something better. The show tried to combine country music variety with sitcom storytelling, but the women had no chemistry together, and the rural setting felt fake and forced. Nothing about it seemed authentic or genuine. Syndicated television wanted to capitalize on Hee Haw's popularity with a younger female audience. Instead, they got stereotypical characters who existed only to look pretty and sing occasionally. The writing was terrible and insulting. Each episode included musical numbers that stopped the already thin plots completely. The women would suddenly start singing country songs that had nothing to do with their problems or situations. The show lasted 26 episodes before disappearing forever. Critics called it sexist and poorly made. Hee Haw Honeys showed that spin-offs need their own identity to succeed. Number 7. Co-Ed Fever, 1979. CBS executives watched Animal House become a huge movie hit and immediately wanted their own college comedy series. They created a show about students living in a co-ed dormitory and learning about life together. Co-Ed Fever followed freshman students at a fictional college dealing with typical campus problems like roommates, dating, and academic pressure. But the writing made college life seem boring instead of exciting. The show aired during the height of toga party popularity and sexual revolution themes. But CBS censors removed anything actually funny or interesting, leaving behind sanitized college stories that felt completely fake. Network television wanted to capture the raunchy college comedy market without offending family audiences. The result pleased nobody and felt like a watered-down version of better movies and shows. The characters were generic college stereotypes with no real personalities. The smart girl, the party guy, the shy roommate, and the mean resident advisor appeared in every episode doing predictable things. Co-ed Fever was canceled after only one episode aired. Yes, one single episode. Even CBS realized it was terrible before viewers could complain. The show proved that copying movie success doesn't work when you remove everything that made the original successful. Number 6. The Flying Nun, 1967 to 1970. ABC took a young actress named Sally Field and put her in a nun's habit that could somehow make her fly through the air. The premise was exactly as ridiculous as it sounds and somehow lasted 3 seasons. The Flying Nun followed Sister Bertrille working at a convent in Puerto Rico, where strong winds would lift her tiny body into the sky. Her flying ability helped solve problems and spread joy throughout the community. Sally Field was a talented actress who deserved much better material than this embarrassing comedy. She later called the show the worst experience of her career and tried to forget it existed. ABC wanted family-friendly comedy that would appeal to both children and religious audiences. But the Flying Nun concept was too silly for adults and too weird for kids. Nobody knew what to make of it. Each episode followed the same pattern. A problem would arise in the community. Sister Bertrille would fly around and somehow fix everything. The flying scenes looked cheap and fake, even by 60s standards. The show ran for 82 episodes despite being completely ridiculous. Critics called it harmless, but stupid. The Flying Nun proved that even talented actors can get stuck in terrible shows.
That's why it could never be as good with...
Number 5. Soap, 1977 to 1981. ABC created a nighttime soap opera parody that was supposed to make fun of daytime television. Instead, they made something so controversial that religious groups protested before it even aired on television. Soap followed 2 families dealing with affairs, murders, alien abductions, and demonic possession all in the same neighborhood. Every storyline was designed to be more outrageous than actual soap operas. The show tackled topics like homosexuality, impotence, and mental illness when most TV avoided these subjects completely. But the comedy often made serious issues seem like jokes instead of treating them with respect. ABC wanted to push boundaries and create adult comedy for late-night audiences. But the show's mix of serious drama and silly humor confused viewers who didn't know when to laugh or cry. Religious organizations called for boycotts before seeing a single episode. The controversy probably brought more viewers than the actual comedy did. People watched to see what the fuss was about. The show ran for 4 seasons and 85 episodes. Critics were divided between calling it groundbreaking or offensive. Soap proved that being controversial doesn't automatically make something good.
Kind of strange in the mailbox this morning. No, not...
Number 4. Who's Watching the Kids? 1978. Someone at NBC looked at Three's Company and thought they could do better with teenagers. They were wrong. Very wrong. Who's Watching the Kids? Was about 2 Las Vegas showgirls who left their little brothers and sisters alone every night. The kids had to take care of themselves while their sisters danced in casinos. The main characters were teenagers watching even smaller kids. They lived in a crummy apartment. Every episode was them getting into trouble. NBC wanted a family show that felt cool and modern. They thought Vegas showgirls would make it exciting. Instead, it made parents uncomfortable. The show tried to be funny about serious stuff. Kids raising kids isn't really that hilarious. Neither is having your sister work in a casino. It lasted only 1 season, 20 episodes and done. Critics called it inappropriate. The show proved that some family situations aren't meant for comedy. Sometimes real problems need real solutions.
That, we're 2 different people.
Number 3. All That Glitters, 1977. Someone at CBS watched Mary Hartman, and thought they had a brilliant idea. They wanted to flip everything, make women the bosses and men the secretaries. All That Glitters was a soap opera where women ran big companies. Men stayed home. They wore tight clothes and answered phones. The show followed Globotron Corporation. Women were the mean bosses. Men were the pretty assistants who got coffee. Norman Lear created this show. He made All in the Family and other hits. Networks trusted him completely. The idea sounded smart on paper. Show how weird gender roles really are. But it felt like a school project instead of a TV show. Women yelled at meetings. Men giggled and flirted. Everyone acted like cartoon characters instead of real people. The show lasted 65 episodes. Then it got canceled. Critics hated it. Even Norman Lear couldn't make this work. Sometimes flipping things around doesn't make them better. It just makes them backwards.
Ferris, we have a new show starting in September on Channel 4. It's called Three's a Crowd, and
Number 2. Three's a Crowd, 1979. Three's Company was such a huge hit that ABC decided they needed a spin-off following Jack Tripper after he moved out of the apartment. They created something that missed everything that made the original show work. Three's a Crowd showed Jack living with his girlfriend Vicky while her rich father constantly interfered in their relationship. The show lost all the innocent misunderstandings that made Three's Company funny. John Ritter was still charming and energetic as Jack Tripper. But without Janet and Chrissy creating confusion, the show had no source of comedy. Jack's character worked best as part of the original trio. ABC expected automatic success from the Three's Company audience. But the spin-off felt like a completely different show with familiar characters. The magic chemistry was completely gone. The new characters had no personality beyond being obstacles to Jack's happiness. Vicky was bland, and her father was just mean. Nobody was likable or interesting to watch. The show lasted 22 episodes across one season. Critics said it proved why the original worked so well. Three's a Crowd showed that successful characters don't always work in different situations.
Well, the kids are going to be singing and dancing disco songs, and they didn't figure...
Number 1. The Brady Bunch Hour, 1976 to 1977. Remember how I promised the Brady Bunch would blow your mind? ABC took America's most wholesome family and turned them into a variety show disaster that still haunts television history today. The Brady Bunch Hour brought back the original cast to sing, dance, and perform comedy sketches in front of a live studio audience. The wholesome family sitcom became a glittery nightmare of bad musical numbers and embarrassing comedy. The Brady kids were now teenagers and adults who clearly didn't want to be there. They performed disco songs and wore sparkly costumes while pretending to be happy about their new careers as variety performers. ABC wanted to capitalize on the Brady Bunch nostalgia during the variety show craze. But mixing family sitcom characters with song and dance routines created something that satisfied nobody. It was too weird for Brady fans and too boring for variety show audiences. Every episode included musical numbers that stopped all comedy completely. The family would suddenly start singing songs that had nothing to do with their personalities or the original show. The show lasted 9 episodes before getting mercifully canceled. Critics called it a betrayal of the original series. The Brady Bunch Hour proved that some beloved characters should never be brought back. The 1970s gave us classic sitcoms and groundbreaking television. But for every retro TV show's 1970s hit, there were weird 1970s TV shows that became forgotten. 1970s TV shows immediately. These worst 1970s TV sitcoms and obscure 1970s sitcoms were short-lived. 1970s sitcoms that proved even successful networks could create 1970s TV flops. From bad 1970s TV comedies to worst TV spin-offs. 1970s disasters, these 70 TV shows nobody remembers, capture 1970s TV nostalgia in the worst way possible. Which forgotten TV shows of the 70s do you remember? Let us know in the comments, hit like, and subscribe for more lost TV shows disasters.